All right, hitting record. So welcome to Turning Content into Speaking Gigs. My name's Carrie Severson, and hang on, I just unpinned you and then pinned me. All right, my name's Carrie Severson. For those of you who don't know me, I am a writer, two-time entrepreneur. My first business is a nonprofit and called Severson Sisters. I launched that about 6 years ago. My second business is a storytelling business. I train entrepreneurs how to get published with personal essays. I've been a published writer for about 20 years, and I started writing for the masses when I was 19. I started writing about business and moved into entrepreneurship, and I've covered celebrities, politicians, healthcare, everything. So what we're going to cover today in the webinar is pretty simple. It is actually, there's a ton of content. Speaking is a passion of mine, and so I've got 2 tips on where to find speaking gigs, 2 tips for you on how to use content that you already have to translate into speaking gigs. And then I've got 2 tips I just picked up on how to secure conference gigs. I'll tell you a little bit about my writing class launching next week and answer any questions you have about this opportunity, or about your speaking opportunity. Okay. I grew up on stage, first of all, so I've always felt really connected to this concept of performing. I feel really comfortable on stage. I love entertaining and the audience reaction. Hi, Christina. Thanks for coming. I was just saying that I grew up on stage, and so I've always had experience performing in front of people. But when I got into the business world, there really wasn't opportunities for me to perform. As a writer, I spent about 6 years in an advertising agency, so I worked with big clients and created marketing campaigns for them, and there really wasn't opportunity for me to get up and perform there either. But I created a couple of opportunities for myself. I was on the board of a national nonprofit, and because I was so comfortable getting up in front of people, whenever we had meetings, I was asked to present. I was asked to present training opportunities. I was asked to present, hi Christy, I was asked to present board meetings, meeting minutes, things like that. And I always looked at every opportunity I had in front of a crowd, I looked at as a performance. And it actually was a lot of fun for me. Moving into more of a business realm, when I started working with the advertising agency, I looked for opportunities that I could just get up and train people. And I looked at those training opportunities as speaking, as performance opportunities. So I said yes to every opportunity that gave me a chance to get up in front of a crowd. And it gave me an opportunity to kind of get outside the box and talk about content and sort of play with the audience. And in hindsight, I did that quite often before I became an entrepreneur. And it's really sort of providing me with good foundation on how to get up and speak now. So a bonus tip for those of you either still in a 9-to-5 or involved in charity events, look for opportunities that give you the chance to just get up and train people, and look at those opportunities as your own speaking sort of practice. Okay, so the tips I have for you on how to find speaking gigs. First of all, I broke into the speaking circuit as an entrepreneur 6 years ago when I launched my first business, Severson and Sisters. It is a nonprofit. I think nonprofit leaders have an easier time finding speaking gigs because people come to them and ask them to talk about their charity. The very first time I got up and spoke about Severson and Sisters was at a grand opening I created and I threw. I didn't pay for it. I found a sponsor to do that, but it was at this wine bar. There were 50 people there. I knew everybody. And I gave a 25-minute presentation about what Severson and Sisters was, why it was important, and why I created it. And it went over really well. People ended up donating money. We ended up using it as a fundraiser. And it taught me that I didn't have to wait for somebody to come to me for a speaking gig. I was going to create it myself. So the very first tip I have for you on where to find speaking gigs or how to find speaking gigs is to sincerely create them yourself. I can tell you that the speaking circuit is very saturated right now. I have a speaking agent, and she says that in 2016, she went to conferences and pitched her clients to conferences. And the pushback from the conference bookers were that for every 10 speaking spots they had, they got 120 different applicants. So if you're looking at a conference that has, think of a intense 2-day retreat, you could have up to 25 different speakers. That's a lot of applicants. You have to think outside the box. This is speaking is like any other element of your marketing campaign. You'll want to make it work for you. And so here are some tips I have for that. For those of you sort of recreating your brand or launching a new website or a new program, think of an opportunity where you get to invite 10 to 25 people in your community, like-minded, ask them to show up for just an hour and a half, 90 minutes, thought-provoking opportunities to talk about one specific topic. And you'll want to hone that topic into your business, why you're the person to talk about it. And it's a really easy way for you to just get up and speak about something you're really passionate about. It can be a simple thought-provoking networking opportunity. It works for me probably 6 times in a course of a year and a half. That's how I started my own speaking career as an entrepreneur. The second idea I have for you to create your own events is to think of a way to incorporate a charity component into it. So if you have a nearby park, create a charity picnic, invite 25 to 50, depending on how big you want to make it. See if you can get it sponsored so it's not costly to you, and then tie that charity back into your business. Why are you so passionate about it? If you're an entrepreneur that works with women on empowerment opportunities, find a charity that is in line with empowering young girls. If you're a career coach, find an organization that does that does look at nonprofits that helps people get into the professional world rather. Think outside the box. Number one opportunity on how you can find your own gigs is to create them yourself. The second tip I have for you on how to find gigs or where to find gigs, in your city, you will have a list of professional associations. In Phoenix, there's 44, women-owned associations alone that I can go to and create partnerships with and pitch speaking services or, themes to pitch them. Make a list of professional development associations in your city. They all have monthly meetings. They'll tend to have breakfasts. They'll tend to have lunches on a monthly basis. And chances are they have one big event happening every year. And they're usually looking for speakers. They're looking for content. They're looking for you to educate their attendees and their participants. Some tips I have, the National Owned Women Business Association is called NABO. They have chapters around the country. E-Women Network has chapters around the country. Go to your alumni associations, go to your chambers, and reach out to just their basic email, info@chamber.com, something like that. And ask if you can talk to the person in charge of their speaking schedule. Get to know that person. Ask them out for coffee. Pick their brain. What are they looking for? They tend to run a year in advance. And so they're looking to book for spring 2017 already. This is the time for you to put your ducks in a row and reach out and ask them what they want their members to learn and how can you fit into that. I would start small. Ask if you can do a 10-minute presentation around a special skill that you have, and work your way up to being the keynote, which is going to be a 45-minute presentation. If you're not used to getting up in front of the crowd, start small. Work your way into being that keynote presenter, and you can totally do it. I've done several keynotes, breakfasts and lunches. The concept of standing behind a podium and addressing a crowd is it can be daunting at first, right? 45 minutes, that's like a marathon in front of the crowd. I've done a lot of 15 to 30-minute presentations. I've done several 2-hour presentations. The content that you have will vary depending on the length of your opportunity. So that moves us into tip number 3 I have for you, really around your content. And this is sort of my sweet spot. I want you guys to think of one value post you have out there right now on Facebook and whatever social media, your e-blast. Think of a value you have that you're putting out there. Post the title of it, if you would, in the comment section, if you can. I know some of you are, I think Christina and Chrissy are on computers. If you can think of a value post, I'd love to see it. Earlier this year, I did a speaking gig in front of 75 other writers called How to Get Over the Fear of Being Published. When you're published with personal essays, there's this element of what are people going to think? What are people going to say? And a lot of times entrepreneurs don't even start personal essays because they're afraid of being published with something super personal. So I got up and I talked about how to get through the fear of being published. It went over phenomenally. I was paid for it. I was offered to sell on stage, and I gained several one-on-one clients from that opportunity. A month later, I had a total content block. I was trying to create these value posts in these Facebook groups and thinking of a way to use my knowledge to expand my brand presence, specifically using value posts on Facebook, and I could not think of a single thing. So I went back to the presentation I had done the month prior, and I decided to create a value post around the fear of being published. And I pulled 3 snippets out of that speaking gig, and I put it in the value post, and that is a phenomenally successful, engaging post for me. And it really kind of clicked for me, this stream that we create for ourselves. We create something that we're going to put out in Facebook somewhere. We create it, we use it to create a webinar, or we use it to create an e-blast, and we tend to stop. But that could easily be a speaking gig if we're positioning it right, and we never think of that. So I would really love to see ideas that you guys have around something you have a value that you could turn into a speaking gig, so I can give you some feedback on how I would tweak it or what I would do with it. I make every piece of content I put out there work for me in every way. So it does start it does tend to start with a Facebook post and then moves its way into an e-blast and then moves its way into a webinar. And then I use that as an opportunity to pitch myself to associations in my area or in to speaking bookers. Okay, the last speaking gig I did was called, just in New York City. I was in New York last week for a gig, and it was called Mythbusting, a personal essay writing, and it went over really well. I'll use that probably in a value post next week, and then probably create a webinar around that. And so I'm reversing it. If you create a speaking gig, it goes the same way. Break it down into a webinar and then break it down into a value post. And see, it can probably even be a program. Pretty cool, right? And then, okay, so the fourth tip I have for you on this content, on how to use content to create speaking gigs. Every successful speaking engagement I've ever done over the last 6 years, I used as workshops. So even though I'm not a teacher, I have like a training, there's like a training DNA in me. Like I'm a natural trainer. I want to help people get past something. And if I have all these skills and this knowledge, I want to pass it on. And for me, it felt more comfortable using my speaking gig, for lack of a better term, as an opportunity to train people on how to do something. So even when I was speaking on behalf of the nonprofit I created years ago, I would use that as an opportunity to workshop. It enhances the engagement with the audience, and it's memorable. They walk away not just knowing something about you, not just knowing something about your business, but learning something and applying it to their life immediately, and it always, always works. And I can't tell you how many times I've been in the audience waiting for people to stop talking at me and start teaching me. And it really is it's a flip of the mindset, and it's incredibly successful. Even if I don't get paid for these speaking gigs, I will have people come up to me afterwards if I'm using it as a workshop format, and people will ask me to work with them. And I always bring my slide with me because you never know when people are going to ask for one-on-one. But it always happens when I take my content and I break it down into a workshop format. So again, I would love to see if you have something in mind that you want to pitch as a speaking gig, put it in the comment section here so I can help you break it out into a workshop format. Remember that some of these gigs, ooh, it just got really dark in here. Hang on. Can you guys see me? I don't want you to lose me. I'm wearing blue. The background is blue. So some of these speaking opportunities you'll have will be 20 minutes, some will be 15 minutes, some will be 45 minutes. So the workshop format really allows you to break and let the audience absorb as you're going, because you'll take breaks. So for example, in June, I had a 45-minute keynote that was called 3 Tips to Getting Published. It is a value post that I have out here. I haven't turned it into a webinar yet. I will. But I delivered my tips throughout the presentation. And after all the tips were done, I broke down and I asked them to write down 3 essays they had in mind. And I went around the room and I workshopped with them. The numbers that I got back from the speaking coordinator were the highest they'd had in the last year. It's incredibly user-friendly. It's very engaging, and it always works. So in my Facebook group, The Soulful Storyteller, I actually have a webinar. I actually have a promo video of that 3 tips to getting published, and I posted it yesterday. If you would, I would love for you to use that as some guidance and guidelines for you as you're creating your own speaking gigs. It is a promo video. It's 5 minutes long, but you'll see how I engage with the audience, how I ask for their feedback, and how I give them tips along the way. And it really just it's an organic creation between you and the audience, and it works. The workshop formats and the value content that you have are such a beautiful marriage of opportunity for you, because it gives you an opportunity to engage with the audience rather than just talk to them. So ask me any questions you have. I mean, I'm super passionate about getting you guys on stage and giving you an opportunity to not just get published with personal essays, but get on stage and start to teach others one-on-one. And then I have, before I give you the last two tips of the things that I just picked up, I was just in New York at this speaking gig called Shift Tank. And in the audience were 4 conference bookers, all on the East Side, the East Coast. And I got some great tips. I got 2 really good tips that I wanted to pass on to you. But before I do that, I wanted to talk to you about my writing class I have starting September 7th. It's called the Master the Craft of Storytelling. It is a 6-week course. It's online. It's for entrepreneurs who are really ready to get personal stories out there in the masses. And the benefit of having personal stories published versus just sharing your content on Facebook or in these webinars is the response that you have with the audience. Your personal stories act as an open invitation to complete strangers to join your tribe, learn from you, and your audience grows, your client list grows, your email list grows. It gives you an opportunity to create brand new relationships. That happens with me every single time I'm published. So your personal stories will go out and let's say get published on Mind Body Green, an outlet I write for. Somebody is so engaged with what I write, they jive with my content, they jump over to my website, join my list, download my free thing. I get an email notification that I've got somebody new there, and I create a relationship and reach out and ask them, hey, what's going on? How can I help you? How can I serve you? And before you know it, I just created a one-on-one, which usually turns into an enrollment in a program. So that's the benefit of storytelling. The benefit of the Master the Craft of Storytelling is you get me for 6 solid weeks editing your work, your stories, and it's super dark again. I'm so sorry. A lot of people need help with their bios and their web copy, and I do that for 6 weeks for you. We have our own private Facebook group, and you get access to me via email for 6 weeks. So if you're interested in that, it starts September 7th. You have support from me for your stories for your websites. It's the investment is $997. The value is $3,600. I have 20 spots available, and for those who are interested in enrolling before 5 p.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow, September 1st, I'm giving away a 60-minute one-on-one, which is a $400 value. And the second bonus I have for those who enroll in Master the Craft of Storytelling by tomorrow is the payment plan. Usually the payment plan for the class is 2 payments of $547. And I'm giving people an opportunity to enroll in the class for a down payment of $332 with 2 additional payments of $332 throughout the course. So there's some cool opportunities for you. It is, my clients get published in massive media outlets. They get an opportunity to create new relationships. And my experience of not just being a writer, not just being a publicist, and in the advertising world, I'm an entrepreneur. I know how to market businesses, and I help you do all of that jazz. So if you have interest in the class, it is, I'm putting it right here. You can go to carriesieversonmasterclass.com and enroll. If you're paying in full, you can just go to that. If you want to do the down payment with the 2 additional payments due, email me at carriesieverson.com and I'll send you an invoice and get you enrolled. Okay, Christy, at what point should we seek out an agent for speaking gigs? Okay, so that leads me to, the last two tips I have for you around how to get booked. Okay, so speaking circuit is inundated, right? Every entrepreneur wants to speak. Every writer is a speaker. And so we're going to start with you creating your own speaking opportunities. You're going to go out and create something. Here is your next step. You have to get it filmed. When these speaking bookers find you, the very first thing they do, and this is from the mouth of a speaking booker I met this past weekend, she doesn't go to Facebook. She doesn't go to your website. She'll Google you and find you on YouTube. YouTube is your friend. And that's not just you speaking into a camera, uploading your webinars, uploading your courses. They want to see how you engage with the audience. So, Christy, to answer your question about the speaking agent, you will need a reel before you get a speaking agent. And that goes for the booker as well. So tip number 5 for you guys on how to get booked and how to use your content here. Search for conferences that are happening in 2017 and start to reach out to them to ask what content they are missing. If you can fill that space, create an event for yourself right now that gives you an opportunity to get filmed, giving value in front of an audience about that topic, and then pitch yourself for a conference in that topic. So for example, if you go to my YouTube video, you'll find a couple of things I've done on stage. I just uploaded a new promo video from the last speaking gig I had. There will be another promo video from this speaking gig I had. Find a really good videographer that can give you a 2 to 5 minute promo video on something that you've had. That will help you A, get booked, and then B, get a speaking agent, Christy. So can you tell me, have you ever been filmed in front of on stage before? Have you ever been filmed in front of a group before? And please, if there are any other questions about anything I've done here today, just put them in here. Okay, so the conferences for 2017, the content, because the circuit is so inundated, things like self-confidence, entrepreneurship and balance, social media, and now storytelling. Those are the 4 things that are seen the most. And so these agents tend to book those spaces out from recommendations and relationships. So if you don't have a relationship with a booker at a conference yet, now is the time to create one. Pitch yourself. Hey, I'm interested in your conference in 2017. Just wondering if we can get on the phone for 10 minutes and let me pick your brain about what it is you're really looking for and what you have trouble filling. One of my 10-minute speaking ideas is posture and breathing techniques for eliciting new mindsets and emotions. Breathing techniques for eliciting new mindset and emotions. Okay, so Pauline, you'd want to get it more specific and do like 3 tips on how to improve mindset through breathing or something. Get it really specific. And then even if you're given an opportunity to do that in a yoga studio setting, you've got like 10 people in that room, right? 20 people in that room maybe. Find somebody that can film you doing that and use that as your promo video to pitch yourself out to these networking associations. And that's a beautiful way to start small. That could be an easy 5 to 10 minute presentation to a group before they start. And that's a great in. That's a great in. Christy, you've been filmed for acting, but not speaking. I have been filmed. Okay, so you just launched a business. I see things on Reiki. I see things on spirituality and self-confidence here. My suggestion for you is to create an event. Start small. It can even be in your backyard. Just get somebody filming you about some sort of niche that you have, and let that be the driving force to how you start to create opportunities for yourself. And then Pauline is on the call, and she's talking about my how she joined my tribe through personal storytelling. Okay, so from the conference booker herself, the bigger the topic, the more broad the topic, the more inundated she is with applicants. So your opportunity is to create very specific niche for yourself and start to hone that and get that filmed. Storytelling is a buzzword right now, and it's not, I have to go into these, every opportunity I have comes with a little education. And so I am really looking at the concept of how can I get the term memoir a little bit more known? How can I get personal essay a little bit known? So I'm starting to pull away from the pack of being known as another storyteller trainer, and starting to really hone myself as being the intuitive essayist, the intuitive trainer. People are fascinated with that. I did the speaking opportunity I had in New York. I got up and talked about me being an intuitive, because I am. I use my intuitive gifts in storytelling with my clients. I can't tell you how many people wanted to just book me to work with them on honing their own intuitive gifts. And which is weird, because I'm like, that's not really my thing. I can refer you to a bunch of people, but that's not my jive. I don't know how to teach you how to do this. But I've gotten like 2 gigs just out of my last speaking gig. I got offers for 2 workshops in New York in the spring of 2016, having to do with me being intuitive and a storyteller trainer. So you'll want to start, this goes into my last tip for you guys. You'll want to start to really pull away from the pack here and find the niches for yourself and start to create your own trail here. So Christy, I see that you're doing a launch party. You'll get someone to film my talk. Beautiful. Make sure that it's not just you speaking into the camera. Make sure that it's you talking, like you engaging with the audience. People want to know how, because getting up and being filmed is, public speaking is scary for some people, but bookers want to know how you engage with their audience more than they do anything else. So make sure that your film does include everybody else too. So if you guys have any questions, I would love to talk. I would love to do a talk on how to build confidence and how to build your confidence doing videos. Okay, an engaging concept here is coming to me for you. Maybe you can do, okay, so to back it up, to give you an example, when I would go out and speak for Seavers and Sisters, the very first thing that we do with these girls is how to help them identify what makes them a supergirl, because our program is called the Supergirl Program. And so I would pass out, even if there were 200 people in the audience, which I've done before, I've done that several times as keynotes, I would pass out like 10 papers on the same table with these power words, and I would spend just a couple of minutes having them identify 3 words that describe who they are, and then talking to one another about their own power words. It's called an icebreaker. So Christy, something that's coming forward for you at your talk is to ask people to get out their camera and video a partner talking to their camera, 60-second soundbite of what makes them awesome. Something like that, whatever jive you have. I think you're doing confidence, so 60 seconds on how you build your own confidence, and encourage them to upload it to a Facebook something, or post it to Twitter, or post it to Instagram, hashtag something. That's engaging right there. Let me know how that goes. The second one is how to be your authentic true self. I'll be honest with you, and I'll tell you that the word authentic is highly overused right now, and so you'll want to find something else to kind of fit that void. Brené Brown made vulnerable mainstream. She made the word authentic mainstream, and now it's overly used. So you'll want to really shy away from that specific word. And I can tell you that just from talking to these bookers this last weekend. Pauline, is it important that content align with your brand? Yes, absolutely. So again, going back to the very beginning, where start to make your content work for you in terms of how is it you're taking it from, a value post into an e-blast into a speaking gig. You'll want to, it all has to tie back into your business so that when you're out in front of these people, they'll want to hire you for something. They'll want to join your tribe for some reason. I've been asked to talk about super personal things like dating in my late 30s or something having to do with, my fertility journey, but it really doesn't have anything to do with me being a storyteller trainer. So I'm not 100% sure I'll take those gigs, or not 100% sure I'll have those gigs filmed, but you'll definitely want to tie it all together. Do you have any questions about the workshop format? How do you feel about that? Does that feel comfortable for you guys? I would love to see how personal magnetism, the word magnet definitely hits me. I don't know how to incorporate that, like how to be a confident magnet or play around with that concept. But the idea that the more confident you are, the more you magnetize confidence back to you, or you magnetize things to you, there's definitely something there for you. Absolutely. How entrepreneurs can attract or magnetize their clients. I love that. How to attract your client. I can tell you this, I'm really interested in playing around with the concept of manifest, because a lot of entrepreneurs in the mainstream, a lot of business coaches when I come out and I talk about magnetism or manifest, a lot of them push back and are like, why are you bringing spirituality into business? So depending on who your client is, this concept of attracting new clients or magnetizing new clients, it will be hit or miss. And so it'll be definite hotspot for you. I'm so annoyed by the lighting in this. I'm in Wisconsin in my childhood home. This is my kitchen right here where I grew up. And the lighting is so weird. Okay, Pauline, I have a personal and professional side or brand too. Not sure how to separate them out or get the two together. Well, I can tell you this. I can tell you that I know that you're already enrolled in that 6-week class, and this is the type of stuff that I will work with you on helping you understand how to create funnels for each of them, because whatever opportunity you have with content, whether it be on stage or through an online magazine, all of this is one giant sales funnel, and it's just up to you on figuring out what stories to tell and how to keep the audience engaged, right? So your speaking opportunity is a live personal essay. And this is the type of stuff that we'll definitely work on in that class. I really want to make sure, though, that you guys feel comfortable with this concept of the workshop format. People, the bookers and the audience don't want to get someone on stage that's just going to boast and promote themselves or their services. They are really specific now more than ever of getting people on stage and in front of their audience who will teach the audience something valuable. And so the best way to do that is this concept of, 3 tips to monetize your blah, blah, blah. 3 ways to get personal stories published. So I want to make sure that you guys are good. I like the idea of workshop format, very engaging and active. Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you feel that way. Okay, so if you don't have any more questions, I will send this out with, you know what? Something just come to me. There's a difference between your speaking engagements and at an association or an event that is workshop format. The second opportunity for you is called Story Slam. Have you guys heard of this? This is literally just coming to me, so I'm going to be kind of fumbly here for a second. Here's how storytelling really worked for me in the beginning. I wrote a post for Huffington Post in 2014 called I'm a Recovering Burnout. A month later, I was asked to come to New York to get on stage in front of 300 people and tell a 7-minute story about my burnout experience and my journey back to happiness with 6 other storytellers. They're called story slams. It's very common. It's like it started with The Moth. I think they're out of LA. And then Storytelling Project is out of Phoenix, and Stand Up for Passion is another one. There are a ton of these story slam concepts moving their way around the country. So for those of you who are much more performance orientated than workshop orientated, consider Story Slam as being like your sweet spot. I've done a couple of them. They've all been filmed. I think they're all on my YouTube video. And they are they're so much fun. So I've done a story slam on my journey to personal happiness. I did a story slam on what it was like to be an entrepreneur, a female nonprofit entrepreneur. I did another one about the worst date I've ever been on. It's fun. It's very different. It's 7 minutes. It's concise, and that is very different than content and workshop orientated. But for some reason, someone watching this is supposed to get that. So, Christy, it might be you. So Google some of those, Story Slam, and see what comes out. Storytelling Project is in, I want to say, 7 cities around the country. Nashville, I think they're in Dallas, Detroit. I don't think they're in New York City, though, but definitely a great opportunity for you guys. All right, cool. So you have create your own events. If you have an upcoming party, think of a way for you to incorporate a 10 to 15 minute presentation that you can get filmed as a way to start creating your own videos. Start a YouTube channel. Every opportunity you get to get up in front of somebody, see if it can get filmed and have that person film you professionally with the audience engagement so they can see how you work with the crowd. Use your content to work for you. Don't just stop at Facebook and eBlast. Use it to pitch yourself to speaking opportunities that are happening already in 2017. This is the time to pitch. There are speaking agencies around the country looking for clients. They will require you to have a reel. So the film is the most important piece. Workshop format works every single time. And make sure that you have, you've got a flow in place so that when people do hear you, they'll find you on your website and join your list and join your tribe and get some services with you. How long should the reel be? Each promo video should be between 2 and 5 minutes. So, you know what? These days, your YouTube channel can really act as your reel. That's what I'm told. I'm told that people are looking at YouTube more than anything else. So these Facebook Lives and these webinars, they really don't matter to the speaking bookers. They want to see you engage, standing up in front of a bunch of people, engaging with the audience. So think of YouTube as your reel now, and I would do 2 to 5 minute videos in front of people. All right, you guys, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the Soulful Storyteller. I will send this out along with the masterclass. If you have interest in joining that, payment in full, you can do carriesieversonmasterclass.com. If you're interested in the down payment, a $332, I'm accepting that until September 1st, which is tomorrow. I'm hoping that you enjoy this. I'm sending you guys lots of light, lots of love from my hometown in Wisconsin, and happy storytelling. Bye, everyone.